If they were Sesame Street characters, I think I would like.
I wasn't trying to make the correlation because it looks ridiculous.
If they was.
I'm just saying. If it was.
Edit this.
Welcome to Six Train Therapy. I'm DJ Mayday.
And I'm Professor S, your psychotherapist to the stars.
Today we want to talk about symbolism, black symbolism, and sometimes negative symbolisms.
Well, using the framework, using the framework of Black History Month, because it just happens to be Black History. And when we put this together, I personally did not think in terms of Black history. What I was coming to this with was symbols that we pass every day. They mean nothing to us, but they have an origin story, and the origin story has a lot to do with the images I'm talking about. Have to do with negative depictions of Black people. You know, very, very, very historical depictions that now, and there's no knowledge of these things. It's not present. And it's not taught in our schools. So I'm going to share about different symbols that we may see or we may not see, or when I talk about it, you may become more aware of it. Mike?
Yeah, one of them kind of surprised me.
Which is the one that surprised you?
May I say it?
Is it the French one?
It's the fleur de lis.
Oh.
Well, that symbol that's in
San Francisco.
No. New Orleans Saints. San Francisco. New Orleans Saints use. It's like the flower-looking thing. I'll probably pop it up right here. Boom.
Yeah, with three leaves. Yeah.
And I didn't realize.
So it's on the helmet.
Yeah, it's on the helmet. It's also on their logo. It's everywhere, right? And New Orleans is like kind of.
And it's like a symbol of togetherness and strength and power and that kind of thing. It's a really rallying. You rally around this image, you know what I mean? Around the team. It's not even, the images are just part of the team. So it has that, like, we're together, right?
Yeah, but like, you sent me some stuff about it, and then I kind of dug a tiny bit deeper, but the history of the fleur de lis is that it's a long history.
It's a long history.
And it has kind of a positive kind of connotations before it was used.
Okay, if you're part of French royalty, it has to do with the French royalty back in the, God knows how far back it goes.
Right.
But that French Revolution, at least around
No, it goes way before that, actually.
Yeah,
about
before the French
more than 1,000 years ago.
Wait, we were talking about, so we're talking historically all the way back.
Yes.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Right, so it has Christian connotations.
Yes, even before Christian, there was the Egyptian, I think showed up in Egypt. Sumerian, in the Sumerian people. It shows up in their imagery, and I think before them, but I remember as far back as Sumerian, and I don't know what that is.
That's a long time ago.
That's like before the Greeks, before the Romans, before, I don't know, but Sumerians.
Yeah, it goes pretty far back, and
you see it in the sculptures, images and sculptures.
So it has a long history, so it's not just
the French.
Right.
It didn't just come from them.
Right. So, but even amongst the French, it became this kind of representation of purity and
the church. Somehow it's connected with the church.
And then it got connected to the church, the Trinity.
The Trinity, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Boy,
so
you did your homework, huh?
I tried. That's why I was trying to understand where we were going. But it has a lot of connotation and meaning. Then it got into the hands of Americans.
Then it got into the hands of the Americans.
Or pre-colonial
Or the
Americans.
French, the pre-colonial French.
Yeah.
So the French was in Louisiana. That's where a lot of the French also brought slaves to that area. And because remember, we're talking about the New Orleans Saints. They're from that part of the country, right?
Yeah.
I'm a foreigner, so I don't always know what.
No, you're conveniently a foreigner.
I'm conveniently a foreigner.
When you don't know some.
I'm from England, but if I'm like a dumb blonde, I'll say I'm a foreigner. I don't know these things. What's the 5th grade? How old are you in the 5th grade? I don't know. I'm a foreigner. I didn't come under that system. But so just to come back, right? So the fleur de lis.
Fleur de lis.
De lis. No, it's not de lis.
I'm exaggerating. I don't know.
The L-I-S, de lis. De lis. Is on the New Orleans Saints, right? It's on the helmet. But back in the day, when slavery was enforced, that symbol was used to brand slaves and criminals, but specifically slaves. They would be branded on their shoulder, on their neck, and it would be a symbol of this person tried to escape. So they were a troublemaker. So they would be branded with that image, and so it was a symbol of violence, a symbol of control, and it was part of what they called the Black Codes or the Noir Codes, and the symbol is part of that, like how to keep Black people kind of like in their place. How do you determine that a Black person is a problem, not a problem, or can go here, go there? One of them is to be branded with the flower. So yeah. So you have all these Black people on football teams running around with this thing on their helmets, not even knowing part of the history.
Well, all right.
I mean, I'm putting it into the Black History Month, the Black history part of it. It's a different meaning in the history of Africans in this country. That's it's just carving that out. That has meaning to the Black experience in America and the connection to the French. That's where it comes from.
I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate and ask questions.
You always do.
I do, because I really want to understand it.
And balance, right? To add balance.
A little balance, because there are symbols historically, like the swastika was, I believe it was originally in
Africa.
India.
It was definitely in Africa. It was in India as well?
I thought it was
symbol.
So it was an ancient symbol that represented something else, and it became a swastika, and then it's pretty much banned from like Western or any life in this world. We've eliminated
evil and death. Of a people.
So it's like a taboo to even have that anywhere, no matter what your cultural. You're at least aware of it, and like there are other things, but like no one's shaving their mustache like Hitler.
No one's going to a party with a swastika on their arm.
Well, some parties.
Like if they do it, then it's
You know where they're coming from.
You're right. It's insensitive at the least. It's insensitive.
So like those were.
It's like going to a party with blackface and you're white.
It's crazy, but it kind of has that. It's like you know and feel like it needs to be eradicated from the planet. Does the fleur de lis qualify as that?
Well, as an individual, as a person,
to Black people,
I personally don't think. First of all, the word qualify, that's a big and heavy thing. Qualify, like I'm the Black person that's saying this is.
I'm asking your opinion.
Then that's my opinion. So my opinion is I don't necessarily think that it qualifies to be eradicated. I don't know. I'm not from this country, right?
Conveniently.
But I think it needs to be taught in school about what that means, because a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today are things from America, because all this is American history.
Right.
All of this is American history, but it's things that are omitted, left out, erased, so it's like it didn't happen. It's like if nobody talks about it in the family, it didn't happen, but it really happened.
Right. Well, like for instance, the N-word, right?
Okay.
The power was taken back. And some people's perspective is that the power was taken back by the way they use it and forbidding anybody else from using it. Is that a plausible, let's say, response to the fleur de lis, or, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that first of all, the fleur de lis, no one's talking about it. So it's not even something that you can claim back and put a different spin on it. So it doesn't even have that. It's just a symbol. It just exists just out there as now it's a pride thing for Louisiana and the team and so on.
So has it been taken back
thing.
Is what I'm saying.
Well, it's been changed. It's been changed. Well, first of all, the image itself has so many meanings. I'm just bringing to the part where it affects black people or people from African descent. That's the part I'm talking about. But it goes back hundreds of years, means completely different things. You can see buildings or railings with that design on it. You're not gonna say, oh my God, that's racist. I don't know, it's a symbol, but there's a history behind it in this country. There's a meaning, there's an energy behind it. So, and even with the N-word, certain generations do not want to, like older people, like in my age group, may not be so gung-ho to say the N-word, you know, and then some people are. So it doesn't, so if you're gonna say, oh, does that qualify as something? I really don't know. It's a very individual thing. At one point we were colored, at one point we were Negro, at one point we were black, at one point we were African American. Do any of those qualify? I don't know. It's just part of the evolution
but
of
yeah, but that's different. Those are words.
No, it's not different.
Self-described words, right? Like,
well, we have the NAACP. There's Negro in that.
Mean?
What do you mean?
Right, but that's the word.
The word colored is in the NAACP.
Right, but it was
the National Association, what is it, NAACP, the National Association of Colored People.
Right, but that's not a bad word, colored people.
Well, I mean, you're named by other people. That's a name white people gave us. We didn't say, okay, I'm colored.
But isn't that strange that the NAACP would have that as their moniker?
And we'll keep it, right. So is that qualifying?
As?
But this is as something to get rid of?
Kind of.
For some people,
I mean, if that's how you feel about it.
Some people feel offended by colored. We have this, you know, I'm going to go off on a tangent.
Let's go.
One of the main pop stars right now is a woman named Tyler from South Africa. You heard of her?
Yeah, of course.
And she describes herself as colored because in South Africa there is a designation of colored, which is a whole culture. It's all mixed race people, but they're a culture. It's not like what colored means to us in America. It means something completely different in South Africa, and it's not a bad term. It's not a derogatory at all.
Yeah, because sometimes it's hard to kind of say what someone is.
But the thing is, it also changes based on the country and
well, that's what I'm saying.
Located.
Like if you're like in Africa, like I mean, there's a lot of whites especially South Africa, from South Africa. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different colors, ethnicities that went in there. You've been a lot of Indian and of course clearly black. So, I mean, in a group of people that don't really care to say color.
Well, the other thing that, again, the names came from the British that came in there, and they're the ones that created the stratification. They're the
you
ones
mean your peoples?
Yeah, but see,
your people did this.
See, I'm British. I'm not English.
Okay, well.
British is where they came. To me, British is where they went and took over, like Jamaica and Barbados, where my family's from. If we were born in England, we're black Brits. We're not black English. It's black Brits.
Wait, hold on. Were you or were you not born in England?
I was born in England. But if you know when you say African American, over there they'll say black Brits. I'm black British.
So you're black Brit.
I'm a black Brit. It's all a, what do you call it, construct? It's all a construct. That's why we're laughing. It's ridiculous because it's really not based on anything that makes real sense, but that's the construct that we live under. So anyway, so where the heck do we go? So the New Orleans. So the symbol was branded on black people of African descent, or criminals, that they were branded with that on their shoulder or on their necks as a symbol to say this is a problematic person. You got to watch them, right?
What? Yeah, I mean, I'm still on the fence of like how I feel about the symbolism because it's meant.
How are you on the fence? What do you mean?
And should we even use it at this point, or is it?
Is it like one of those teams, the football teams where they get
rid of? Right? Yeah, like
which ones got rid of the thing? Was it the Redskins?
The Redskins.
What is it now then?
It's the oh God! It's the I forgot.
So that had a cartoon version, so supposed to symbolic of a Native American. It was very insulting to the image of it, and there was a whole uproar about it, and they got rid of it.
Right.
But
they just played the Super Bowl, so yeah.
We'll put it in the, what do you call it? The what below?
The comments.
So those would qualify, right? Because the people.
But that's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying the people came together
and said we're not having it.
And said we're not having it. People are not coming together and saying that the fleur de lis is something that's negative. No one's coming together, and a lot of the times it's because they don't even know what it represents.
Well,
and then again, do the people really care? Do the football players even care? I don't even know. I mean, do they even know? I just think it's very ironic that the majority of these people on the football team are black, and they were running around with a helmet with something that actually would be branded in you if you try to escape slavery.
That is,
I think it's very ironic and very wow. Exactly. That's why I found it.
That's a wild thing. Like if you brought a slave master back to a football game, you'd be like, oh, okay.
You put a slave master back?
Yeah.
A slave.
No, slave master, you put him in the stands to watch the game. Let's say you bring him back from time.
Now,
okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, now what if they try to run away from...
Stop, let's stop right there.
They try to run off the football field.
Let's stop.
They'll be like, yo, we have the symbol
you gotta
that
get
we used to have.
You gotta get that one.
Okay, so to move on.
All right.
So we'll have a clip of the black and white minstrel show. Right? We'll have a clip in there.
The British one.
The British. Well, they didn't have it. That's true. The British one.
Right.
So there was a show in England called the Black and White Minstrel Show. So minstrel, right? Minstrel are white people, white men usually, in blackface, the big lips, eyes, and the dark skin and the whatever wig they put on, and it's like the minstrel with the red and white pants and the blue shirt or whatever. But either way, it was blackface, right? So that was a show that ran from, let's see, 1958 to 1978, 20 years.
Crazy.
It ran on British BBC television, and it was, let me see what they say over here. It was, well, anyway, it was one of the highest rated shows in Britain. And I used to watch it as a child, right? So when it started in 65, I was 5. I think I was 5. So I think from 5 to 7, I think I used to watch it because the music was really funny. And it's so weird because I already had this understanding that these were black people and they were all dancing with white women.
What did you know at the time?
I didn't know
that they were white people.
I did not know that part. So they just, in my child mind, these were brown-faced people, and my parents, my people I knew were brown-faced people, and they were all dancing with white women. And at that time,
all right. This is a little bit of an important thing that I want to. So as a child,
that's a child, yeah.
You didn't recognize the fact that
this was a bad thing.
Wait.
Oh,
that they were white people.
No.
With black paint on their face.
No.
You didn't acknowledge that.
I did not know
thought they were legitimately black.
I didn't know what they were.
Well, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Like, what did you?
I just thought they were. But I think in my mind. See, I can't go back into my child mind, because my child mind. I think, if I was to be honest, in my child mind, these were black people. But in my child mind that's interesting that they're dancing with white women. Like, but I didn't make it didn't mean anything to me, but it's just like they're all white ladies. They're white ladies, and they're dancing. They do real nice dancing.
Did you think they weren't supposed to dance with the white women?
No, but obviously there was something in my head that said, why are they all dancing with white people, white ladies? It wasn't in my belief system that it was wrong. It was just, and then the ladies had all these plumage. Think of Las Vegas. The women were dressed like Las Vegas women, right? And they were very, like into the minstrel person. They hugged, they danced, they did all this other, swaying together, moving side by side. But I think somewhere in my child mind, it was something that I hadn't really seen before. Like, this was a TV thing.
But it didn't strike you as, that doesn't normally happen.
Not really. If I was to be honest, I don't think so. No.
Because I'm thinking about,
as I got older.
Like, for instance, I'm thinking about like Sesame Street. Like, I'm watching Sesame Street. I'm watching this Big Bird, And in my mind, I kind of know that there's a man under there with a puppet.
They're puppets, yeah.
But I'm buying into the character. Even as a little kid, I knew there was something going on there. There was people in there. But I bought into the character.
Right.
And I bought into the fact that they would interact with people. So I'm kind of wondering, was it that kind of effect?
Did it make a difference that these were like cartoon-like characters, so they couldn't really be real?
Yeah.
Was that's part of it? They look strange.
Right, but that's what I'm saying about the minstrel. Did you see it as like,
no? They were if they were Sesame Street characters, I think I would like.
I wasn't trying to make the correlation because it looks ridiculous.
If they was.
I'm just saying. I'm saying if it was.
Edit this out.
No, I'm not gonna. I'm saying if it was
if they were dancing with Big Bird. If they were dancing with Big Bird or Oscar the Grouch or Bert and Ernie, and they were dancing with white women, I would definitely say, "Oh, these are cartoon characters."
Because they look ridiculous. To me,
but they were brown-faced people. I'm a brown-faced person.
Yeah, but they weren't brown-faced. They were like shoe-polished black.
But they looked cartoonish. But it's not like I was offended. It just looked odd, But the music was great. I mean, I don't even know if kids my age at the time would even listen to this kind of music. It's very. What's the equivalent? There was a Guy Lombardi. Did you know who Guy Lombardi is? See, that's why I'm old. That's why the white hair is here. So Guy Lombardo, he would play, he had a TV show back in, I think, the 50s. And they would play this kind of like...
Ragtime?
Not ragtime, but like, I can't even explain it. It was like popular music of the 50s. It's almost like when how do you say, what did Trump say? Make America great again? It was Make America Great Again music. So his back that time, it was really good. So, and he was like Guy Lombardo. But he was popular when it was a New Year's Eve. He would be on TV going, he played this music as they ringing it. But anyway, whatever that, if you can Google him, that music was the music that they were dancing to.
Because I when I was a kid, I never saw anything like that, right? Because we were already in
post-apocalyptic.
No, post-civil rights.
Yeah.
So a lot of that shit got eradicated, right? The closest thing I came to anything that even resembled anything like that was the Little Rascals. Like reruns of the Little Rascals.
Okay.
Years ago.
Yeah.
So like that's the closest thing. I was like, yo, why this is wild. Why does Buckwheat look like he just crawled out from under a fucking rock, and everybody else looks, and they're treating him like normal.
Right.
But something's not right. And I was a kid, and I didn't understand that. And I was like, oh. Then I started like, oh, that must be how they used to. I kind of figured it out a little bit.
And as someone that came from another country, I had never seen this show before, The Little Rascals, and I saw that. Now I'm a teenager now. I'm a teenager, and I'm like, oh, this is how they depict black people. Like, why is the only one? Why he looks like that? You know what I mean? But then the other kids look kind of weird too.
They look character, but they didn't look
but here's the thing.
Like
but the thing is, over time, from the teenage years, I understood. I learned how the black people were depicted in movies. That was one of the versions, right? The pickaninny, because that's what they were called, pickaninnies. And so that version, and then you saw how they depicted black women, men, and how they'd shuffle and laugh and dance. And so I understood that it was in that realm of things that's why it looked like that. So that's part of the image. So let's say you were a younger person watching that'd be just a funny show. Especially if you were white, that's just a funny thing. But when you pull back, it was a derogatory image, and it wasn't in the when you look at the context in which that was shown. That time in American history was it Jim Crow? It was Jim Crow.
Yeah, for sure.
That was Jim Crow time. So Jim Crow means
you're talking 1930s and 1940s.
You had to be in the back of the bus. You couldn't drink from the same water fountain. All that was happening when Buckwheat was on TV. Okay, context. So back to the black and white minstrel show. So, and I'm looking to the side because I'm looking at my notes. Now, I came to this country.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Of course.
All right, so I brought up the Buckwheat thing because when I see a minstrel now, like it doesn't look like a black person.
Right.
Absolutely doesn't.
Right.
It looks ridiculous. It looks like. So I'm trying to understand, like, how could clearly
it's a cartoon.
They're making fun of, right?
It's like looking at Bert and Ernie. To white people, it's a cartoon. It's not offensive to them, but it's offensive to us because it's an offensive cartoon. So if it's offensive depiction of real people. Bert and Ernie are not real people.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I get.
So we were perceived as non-real people. Think of Bert and Ernie.
Right, but I'm trying to, like I said, I never saw a minstrel show like under any normal context at all. So I'm trying to understand, like, what your mind saw as a child. So.
You mean as a child, right?
Right.
But you looked at it as someone that was living here, and at some point in your development, you realize, oh, that's just a man with this black skin on himself. So I'm a child.
But I saw it older. That's what I'm saying.
I'm a child. I don't know.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't even know racism existed at that time. Right. I didn't know. But as I got older, the little messages that began to come through in England. And so, but my point, okay, so let's get back to the Black and White Minstrel Show. So that was a popular show. There was no like outrage from the black community. And if it was there, which I believe, and maybe one of the things that we will have in the comments below, that there were letters that were written. There was even internal letters.
Of
people that said this should not be on television, and they were basically told, don't. They just ignored it. Keep your mouth shut is basically what they told them, and this was internal in the BBC. So anything external did not even have any weight at all.
Right.
But in 1965, laws were passed where you could not refuse or overcharge a black person or based on their race or color. You couldn't overcharge them and you couldn't refuse them service. That was in 65 in England. And I think that was a direct parallel to what was going on in America. The 65 civil rights movement was going on. But in England, it really wasn't at the fervor of as it was in America compared to England. So my point is that show ran all the way up to 1978. There were minstrel images that were #1 show. That could not fly in America in 78. There's no way you could have that on TV.
Well, my question is like comparatively.
That show couldn't fly in America.
The population of
blacks
in England versus the blacks here.
It was a smaller percentage over there than here.
Right. Like, because here it's always kind of hovered around 30%.
No, it was 14%.
Okay.
Do your research, bro.
I don't know about England. That's why I'm asking.
I'm talking about here.
Here it's at 30%.
It's 15% actually. Go ahead.
If you're right.
Well, if I'm right, what happens?
If you're right.
It's hovering between 13 and 14% in America. That's why the Latino community will be the #1 minority, because, boy, they are creating some children. And rightly so. We need a Latino president.
Take this.
I'm serious.
Back.
At some point, we're going to have a Latino president.
Oh, for sure. Percentage of black people in America.
Right.
Oh.
Wait, before you hit before you hit open, what happens if I'm correct? What happens? What I get? You'll mop all the floors in my apartment.
Get the out of here.
Go ahead.
I'll bring you a cookie in next episode.
No, Rocher chocolates.
Get out of here, bro.
I like Rocher chocolates. Why are you determining what I get? Anyway,
because you asked me.
Ed, sorry. Go ahead.
2023.
State of Black America. The black population there, right? View? View.
Oh, view? I like pressing on buttons like that.
I don't have my glasses. Oh, yeah, I do.
This is not it.
No. Right, can you write what I said? What is the percentage of black people in America? Very simple.
Percentage of black people in America.
Scroll up. Scroll. Demographics by race. There you go. Breakdown. And that's a sponsored site. Those aren't always the best. Yeah. 14.4. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I gotta bring you a cookie. I thought it was higher. So what is it in England? Well, let's ask.
Go take a look. It might be 6%. When you're living there, especially in the community that I grew up, you would think it would be about like half. Or no, I would have thought that in England it was like 30.
4.2%.
Yeah, it's really small.
Wow.
And then when you look at the African migrants, because there's a lot of Africans now in England, I thought that there were more Africans now in England, but it's not. I think they're like 2% or 1 point something percent. So when I realized the percentage in England of black people, then I understood so much more. And then when I understood the percentage in America of African American black folks, I had even better understanding of why things are the way they are, why they can stay the way they are, and why they will stay the way they are.
I mean, 14% is not a lot.
It's not a lot.
14.9 or whatever it was.
Right.
It's not a lot. Right. I thought there were more. Maybe it's because of where I live. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're all together out here.
Yeah. Bronx. So anyway, so that's the black and white minstrel show. I don't think I need to say anything more about that, do I?
No. I'm done with that.
So
I hate that stuff. Like it hurts my soul, and so much so that it like anything from that era.
Yes.
It like irks my soul. So it took a long time for me to even start.
It's triggering, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Like
for me as well. Just I guess.
Even like the music, like listening to Frank Sinatra, like or you know, some of these guys like pre-civil rights talk about love and life and this and that.
Knowing that people were like in Jim Crow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's like, I'm like, damn. That bothers me. It took me a while. Then I kind of separated the two at this point in my life. But for a long time as a kid, when I heard that music, I would see like horrible things. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I think as a sociology major undergrad, that also put everything into much more context for me. So I'm kind of triggered too, but just triggered in maybe in a different way.
Right.
But I understood, even though didn't make me feel good, but I understood why things are the way they are, the history and so on. And I am not an expert nowhere near on the history, because even when I was doing this research, I was like, oh my God, yeah.
You always find something new.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the other thing that you sent me that we were talking about, the Giacomo.
The Giacomo.
Yeah, like so the lawn jockeys were another like kind of, and I did by the end of watching the thing you sent me, I didn't know how to feel about it, right? Because it was because the lawn jockey has its history in you know George Washington. So George Washington, you know, when he crossed the Hudson, yeah,
somewhere,
yeah, he crossed the Hudson to New Jersey to try to win the war. He left his horses, this is how the story goes, the lore goes, he left his horses on the New York side, and it was being held by a young black slave.
Slave, yeah.
Right, he was 12 years old.
Yeah.
And then when they came back, the kid was
frozen to death.
Yeah, he froze to death,
right,
holding a lantern and the horses. Now that sounds like kind of crazy, because I would think he would probably fall over, you know, at some point.
Well, it's lore, right?
It's lore.
It's the lore. It's the story that is told. So, you know, just from my own, the reason why the Giacomo, which basically is a lawn jockey, basically it's a symbol of it's a jockey, right, in the hat and the clothing. And their arms are up, right? A lot of times there's a metal ring that's on there, right?
So you latch your horses.
Some people said, when I was reading, some people said it was a symbol of the Underground Railroad, right? So you had this character, and they would have a light, and if they had a light, if it was lit, then it was a safe place to go.
I thought it was a ribbon.
That's
like a red ribbon was not safe to.
But I'm just saying,
town.
This is what was written about this character.
Okay.
Right? Now that was never proven.
Right.
Right? It was lore again, right? So, but what I found out is that the lawn jockey, and the other thing about the lawn jockey is that he was blackface, sometimes with the red lips, so he had that
minstrel feel.
So he had that minstrel feel to it.
Yeah.
And in fact, there was a small thing on YouTube where there was a story where a white guy had a lawn jockey in front of his house. I don't think I sent that to you.
Yeah, you did.
I did. So you had a lawn jockey, blackface, and the guy was white. And some neighbor, black neighbor, was very insulted by this image that he would have in front of his house. So the guy said he didn't. You didn't see that, right?
Not that one.
So the guy said, because the news people came out and did a whole news thing, right? So the guy said, well, I didn't know that that was offensive. I'll take it down. And he just took it out. But the black guy was very offended. So just the symbol, how symbols can change or people's meaning. So this actually goes back to the 1800s, where the slaves were the ones that took care of horses, right? They cleaned them up, they brushed them. Right. They had a more intimate understanding of horses, so they would have horse races, and the slaves that were riding these horses in races, right? So between 1880, to show you how far back this goes, the first, let me see, what did I have here? 13 out of the 15 first Kentucky Derbies were won by black jockeys. So black jockeys were those are the first people that rode the horses.
It dominated.
It was dominated. You'd have very few white jockeys, but and they would win. A lot of them would be winning and winning and winning. And at one point, they were making a whole lot of money from their winnings. I mean, one I saw, I think the first one got $100. It went all the way up until $10,000. Can you imagine in the 1800s? So it's very lucrative to be a jockey. Now,
well, be a winning jockey.
And winning jockey. But by 1910, the black jockeys were forced out. The Klan became more powerful in that area.
Kentucky.
In Kentucky, right, Kentucky. And the white jockeys then took over as well, pushed the black people out. So that.
You know what I mean? So thank you for listening to Six String Therapy. I'm DJ Mayday.
And I'm Professor S, your psychotherapist to the start.